Hello everyone, welcome to another session on introducing literature, and this is like part 2 of module 2. Okay, we will quickly wind up our discussions on module 2 in somewhere around 6 to 7 parts. Okay, so this is like part 2, and in the previous session I have discussed the story, or you can say the particular concept of my single version of story by Adishi, and in this session I'll quickly discuss the two passages that are there for you to study. One is of George Orwell, his 1980, from a small passage from his 1984, and the other one is Jane Austen's. It's from Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. Okay, so these are the two passages that are there for you to study, and through these passages we are studying third person point of view. Third person point of view I have discussed with you already in a separate video, so go through it before you read the passage. Okay, you have to read the passage all by yourself, and in that we have discussed a concept called third person limited and third person omniscient. Third person limited means you are normally restricting yourself. The writer is restricting himself or herself to one single character. Okay, here the first passage from George Orwell's 1984, you can see that the writer has restricted himself to the emotions, to the thought process of the character by name Winston. Okay, so here you can say like Winston, hardly no Tillotson, and it's about Winston. What exactly is his thought process? What exactly he? That is what we get, when we go through it. Somewhere in the middle, a dozen of people whom Winston did not even know by name, though he daily saw them hurrying to and fro in the corridors or gesticulating in 2 minutes' hate. So he knew that in the cubicle next to him, the little woman with sandy hair toiled day in, day out, simply at tracking down and deleting from the press the names of people who had been important to the perspective of the protagonist. So all these things, from all these things we can sense that it is all about, it's a third person narrative. It is not about me. Okay, it is not about one I and all. It's not there. It is not about the writer's own emotions that is getting reflected. Rather, it is all about whom? It's all about a character called Winston, but it is just restricted to, or you can say it is just limited to Winston alone. Okay, so that is what is generally identified as third person limited. So as I've told you, how you have to study the paper is that, when we met, I've detailed it to you that you have to study the concept, like what is the point of view. Then you have to understand like what is first person point of view, what is third person point of view, and then explain that with an example. That is what is needed, okay, for the exam. So now next is like the passage, as I've told you, it is from Pride and Prejudice of Jane Austen, and here you can see when you read the passage, you have to read it before you listen further. It's a very small passage, so you can see that it is the emotions of both Jane and also of Elizabeth that is getting represented in this particular passage. Okay, it is not just restricted to one single character, rather two characters here, more than one, it is getting represented. So here the narration, you can say, is third person omniscient. Okay, it is not restricted to one single character. Okay, the thought process of many characters and the ideology, the in fact happening in this particular passage, and there you can say it is third person omniscient. Okay, example I have already given you in the previous video. So here you can see that when I read it out from the passage, he's just what a young man ought to be, said she, sensible, good-humored, lively, and I know I never saw such happy manners, so much ease, with such perfect good breeding. Okay, then again a reply of Elizabeth, he's so handsome, with a young man ought likewise to be. So you can see that both the characters are in fact being explained thoroughly purely by the writer. Likewise, you can see that the thought process of both the characters are represented here. So if it is more than one, we call it as omniscient. Okay, then here Jane Austen employs the third person point of view. However, the perspective is not limited to voice of any one character. Okay, so this is an example of third person omniscient narration. So study that sentence also, so that you can give a good answer. Okay, and you can see that, you know, some characters, some stories or in some narrations, there are like mixed point of view. Okay, that example, you know, we will we will see that in another video. So till then, take care.